Here we are, Trona Pinnacles. In my opinion, one of the coolest spots in Southern California. I've been here once before, and that was about 8 months ago. No one's ever gonna hear about that trip. It was not successful, but that's the reason this trip will be successful. So it's late September. This is it for Milky Way season. We're gonna try to get, my number one goal here is to get a shot of the Subaru wilderness in some sort of action looking location. Maybe it's like somewhere on a path going over some rocks with the Milky Way behind it. I've been thinking about this shot literally for a year. We got about an hour before sunset goes down. We're gonna get in there. Just take a look at this place. It's awesome. You know, it's hard not to get caught up in just how amazing this is. I mean, to think that at one point this was all underwater and we are on bottom of the sea coral formations enjoying a cotton candy sunset. To me, it's pretty incredible. So, sun's going down. We're gonna find a composition in the dark, which we didn't want to do, but here we are. Milky Way is going to be out in maybe an hour, hour and a half, so it's all happening fast, but I think we're going to nail it.
We do have apps, like PhotoPills, that make it really easy to plan these shots during the day. But here I am again at night, struggling. Leaving myself enough time to find a composition in the daylight is something that I desperately need to focus on. And if you're just starting out in astrophotography, that's the most important piece of advice that I can give you, especially when you're going to a location that you're not super familiar with. Get there early. Okay, so after about an hour of trying to figure out the Subaru shot, we had to give up because we don't have much time with the Milky Way, so we abandoned the Subaru shot for now. And I decided to try something else new that might not work out because I want to have this whole night possibly fail. So I took out the 50mm G Master 1.2, and I'm trying to shoot astrophotography with that for the first time ever. We both, this pinnacle behind me really caught both of our eyes, so we're shooting this one. So without a star tracker, you really have to limit your exposure to what I found is 6 seconds with 50mm. Technically, you should be able to do 10-second exposures, but it's giving me a little bit of a star trail. They're not pinpoint. So we're going with 6 seconds. I'll take 13 images at 3200 ISO to stack for noise. Since it's 1.2, we're still getting plenty of light. The Milky Way actually looks pretty vibrant. And then we're going to shoot the foreground 30-second exposure, 800 ISO. Put it together, and I think it's looking pretty good. It's a nice minimalist, symmetrical shot, close-up Milky Way. I think if it's the only shot we come away with tonight, it's decent. I really love how this shot came out. Whenever I visit such an amazing landscape like the Trona Pinnacles, it's really easy for me to become overwhelmed with the environment. Everywhere you look, there seems to be something amazing to shoot. But using the 50mm lens allowed me to simplify the environment and focus on one piece of this amazing landscape. And I really love the result. Here's a slight variation of the shot with the Milky Way core more visible. I also took a different approach to editing this shot. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. So we got the shots of the pinnacle. Pretty happy with those 50mm. And on the way back, trying to get out of here, which is not that easy in the dark. We still really don't know where we are, to be honest. But I optimistically hoped that we would actually stumble upon a location like this where we're actually driving through the terrain
with the pinnacles and the Milky Way. And guess what? It happened organically. So here we are after we gave up. It's happened organically. This is not an easy shot to pull off. We'll explain what's going on. So we have the car, as I put a little light on it. Hopefully you can see. We have the car, okay, in a nice position between the pinnacle over there and this nice foreground, right? We got the 14 millimeter G Master. 1.8, forgot. I think it's 1.8. On our Sony A7R3. All right, so we have that set up, and first what we did was our standard 13 exposures of the Milky Way. Now the core was down below the horizon, but we still had it's still a nice Milky Way. You don't need the core, I don't think. It's still an awesome trail of stars, and the ambience here is just amazing no matter what you shoot. So 13 exposures, ISO 3200. We're going to stack for noise reduction like we always do. But the science project of the whole thing came into play after that, because I really want to show us driving through this terrain. And we have to do it with the headlights on, which is pretty tough. It's pretty tough to have everything exposed and focused and detailed. So we did a bunch of shots with the headlights on. We fooled around with the exposure. We fooled around with the ISO, the shutter speed, everything. So we have all that information. We emphasized the terrain, how rough it is. And now what we're doing is we're doing 2-minute exposures and focus stacking. So we've got a shot with the car in focus, okay, at 2.8 with an ISO of 800. We did a 2-minute exposure there. Then we focused about 7 feet in front of the car, and then we focused on the immediate foreground. Now I'm going to do another one focused on the immediate foreground, because it's really important in these, to me at least, in these kind of landscape shots. We're shooting this portrait, by the way, but in these where you see a lot of landscape, it's pretty important that the very front, the foreground, those textures are really in focus. I love seeing the textures of the rocks that you're going through. So we're gonna do a shot of the very immediate, and then the very close, and then the mid, and then the car, and then we'll do one of the kind of a focus infinity, just to have it. So this is gonna be at least, if you count for the 13 shots, at least 20 shots to get this effect. And goodness knows if it's going to work, but I'm optimistic. I really am. So a lot's going into this image, and if it's any good, you'll see it now.
I have to say, I'm really proud of this one. It's pretty rare, for me at least, to capture the exact image that I set out to get. And for a while it didn't look like that was going to be possible. As you see here, I ended up using 18 shots to put this together. I ended up using 3 images for the focus stack and blending 2 images to get the headlights exposed correctly. It was a delicate process to blend everything together, but I think the end result allows you to appreciate the image for the story that it tells. I really wanted to tell the story of what it's like to explore the unknown. I think it's pretty awesome to step outside of your daily routine and experience the excitement and really uneasiness that comes along with such an unpredictable journey, all the while having the entire universe on full display in every direction. And that's why I love landscape photography. The process of capturing these scenes, these moments, is every bit as rewarding as the images themselves. And I really hope that this image gives you a glimpse of what it was like to live this moment. Anyways, if you appreciate my attempt at being philosophical, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.